Hello again. I'm gonna show you how to solve for x by completing a square. So this is now different from other methods for solving for x, but now we are completing a square. So when you're completing a square, you simply check your middle value, which is b, which we have a, we have b, we have c. You check your b and divide it by 2. Ne? Don't mind the sign, don't check the sign whether it's positive or negative. Don't mind it. When I just focus on your middle value, which is 6. We're gonna say 6 divided by 2, which is 2 3. So you'll say, you'll input brackets there and say x minus 3 squared. You see, so this is x minus 3 squared. This x disappears, and this x disappears. Then you can say minus 3 squared. So this negative 3 comes from where you set 6 divided by 2, then you get 3. Then you're gonna say your last value, which is equals to negative 12 is equals to 0. You see, so this sign here, it will always be in a negative value. Even if here it was plus 6x, there it will be always negative something that's negative, like the negative number that you got there. Then I'll continue saying very same thing, x minus 3 squared. But now you're gonna solve this one. What is negative 3? What is 3 squared? It is 9. So you're gonna say minus 9 minus 12 is equals to 0. I know most of you can be like negative 3 squared. It is, yeah, you see, it is negative 9, or you can make it like what can I say, negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. So don't do that. So just do like this, like the sign is always negative. This sign here for the middle value is always negative. So what do? You can take this like terms to the other side, so that it can be x minus 3 everything squared is equals to, it equals to what? It is equals to 9 plus 12. You see, so 9 plus 12, it is 21. So you're gonna still write the same thing, x minus 3 everything squared. But manje, we want to find the value of x. What can we do to get rid of the fractions? We can square root the squared of the, you can square root x minus 3 squared by saying square root of x minus 3 squared is equals to square root of 21. We square root both sides. Remember on my first video there, I said if you have a square root of something, to remove it you must square it, and it, mind you are doing vice versa. You have squared something, mind you are gonna remove it by square root. So it is gonna be x minus 3, it is equals to square root of 21. Then x is equals to 3 plus minus square root of 21. Let's start by saying plus. So it will be x equals to 3 plus square root of 21, which is gonna give me 7.58. Take it to decimals, ne? Take it to decimals. Then let's go again, x or x equals to 3 minus square root of 21, which is equals to negative 1.58. So when you have something like this, ne? When you have a equation like this, you check the middle value and divide it by 2. Then when you are done, you are gonna still solve it by saying negative. The sign must be always negative. Then you write the number you got after dividing it by 2. Then you write it, you square it. Then you say the last number. You find the value after squaring it. Then write it with the last number. Then group these two together since they are like terms. And if you want to remove these squares, you just square root it. so that it can be a simple equation x minus 3, but you must square root both sides so that it can be x minus 3 equals to square root of 21. But if it was square root of 100, we were gonna get 10, so that it was gonna be x equals to 3 plus 10, or x equals to 10 minus 3, or whatever. But now this is the answer that you got. Then you just do it separately while saying 3 plus square root of 21 or 3 minus square root of 21. Let's do number 2. X squared plus 4x plus 3 equals to 0. You know, the first step, we must divide the middle value by 2, which is 4. 4 divided by 2, it is 2, so it will be x minus 2 squared, then minus 2, okay, and it minus 2 what squared plus 3 equals to 0. The yabona lana it was positive, so lana it will change to a negative, because in lana it must be a negative. Okay, let's check again. We will continue saying x minus 2 squared, then minus again 4. We know 2 squared it is 4, then plus 3 equals to 0. Let's take everything to the other side. X minus 2 squared, it is equals to 4 minus 3 equals to 1. Then we'll say x minus 2 squared. We want to remove the square root, so we're gonna say square root of both sides. Let's check. Square root of 1, it is 1, so we are gonna say x minus 2 equals to 1, and so it will be x equals to 1 plus minus 2. So we'll start by saying x is equals to 1 plus 2, which is equals to what? 3. Or we can say x is equals to 1 minus 2, which is equals to negative 1. Let me 1 minus 2 negative 1. You see here our answers. If you can check them here, our answers. You see here our answers. So let's do a different one. Let's say you have something like 2x squared plus 4x minus 8 equals to 0. Don't start solving it when it is like this. When you are completing a square solving for x, you must make sure that the coefficient of x for number a, it must be 1. So you will divide everything by 2. So it will be 2x squared divided by 2 squared, so that it can be x squared, and it then you'll divide, like you're dividing everything by 2, so it will be plus 4x over 2 minus 8 over 2 equals to 0. We know 4x divided by 2, it will be plus 2x minus 4 equals to 0. Now sizoqala lana, we are gonna start here. This is our new equation, x squared plus 2x minus 4 equals to 0. Then you know what we must do. What you must do, you divide the middle value by 2. So it will be x minus 2 divided by 2, it is 1. So it will be x plus 1, because 2 divided by 2, it is 1. So it will be x plus 1. X plus 1. We can say x minus 1 or x plus 1 squared, because there are many different ways to get the value of x. Even here, even nalana, we are gonna say x plus 2, but siyafana, we are gonna get the very same answer even if we said x plus 2 squared. So let's continue. So we are gonna say minus 1 squared. I told you good learner is over minus every time. Minus 4 equals to 0. We know we are continuing. X plus 1 squared, then minus 1 minus 4 equals to 0. 1 squared is 1, so it will be x plus 1 squared equals to 1 plus 4, or 4 plus 1, which is equals to 5. Then we want the square root. Do we want to get rid of this x plus 1 squared, and it will be x plus 1 squared, but in a square root, so that it can be x plus 1 is equals to square root of 5 plus or minus 5. But lana square root, you cannot say plus or minus 5, you will have to put it ngaphakathi, so it will be plus or minus 5. Ziyafana. Okay, let me just write it like this. Then you will say x is equals to plus or minus square root of 5 minus 1, because angithi le 1 is right to the other side. So we'll start by saying x equals to positive square root of 5 minus 1. It will be 1,24. Or x it is equals to negative square root of 5 minus 1. It is equals to negative 3,24. Yabona ukuthi njani? Kanjalo nje. Isolva kanjalo solving for x by completing a square. Lana it must be plus or minus 5 ngaphandle, because once ngayifaka ngaphakathi izonginika ama-error mangizofaka i-negative, so kumele ukuthi ibe ngaphandle, yabona. So positive 9, if you can check here, negative 5, you see, say team as error, so it must be negative square root of 5 minus 1, which is negative 3,24. Lana is a good 2 decimal place, you know it. So let me look for a fraction question. Let me look for it now, then we'll be done with solving for x by completing a square. Okay, now any question a different. It is x squared minus 3x is equals to, minus 4 is equals to 0. So you know what the first thing that you are doing, it is divide by 2, so it will be x minus 3 over 2 everything squared minus 3 over 2 everything squared minus 4 is equals to 0. Then you know what we are gonna say, minus x minus 3 over 2 squared, then 3 over 2 squared, it will give me 9 over 4. Let's say it is always negative, please don't change it. So it will be 9 over 4 minus 4 is equals to 0. Take these things to the other side. This over x minus 3 over 2 is equals to 9 over 4 plus 4. Then it's only 25 over 4. X minus 3 over 2. Manje I wanna get rid of this fraction. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna do a square root, both square root, square both sides, like square ngafake konke kuma square root. Then I'm gonna say x minus 3 over 2, it is equals to 5 over 2. So it will be, it is ngapha, it will be x is equals to 3 over 2 plus or minus 5 over 2. Then this is what x, it is equals to 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2, which is equals to 4. Or we can say x, it is equals to 3 over 2 minus 5 over 2, which is equals to negative 1. Yabona? Sithole i-value yaka 3 over 2 must get to divide 3 ngo-2, which is negative 3 over 2. Sayifaka lana, as you know what we must put it here and square it. Then lana sayifaka lana, as you know what it must be here. Then sayaqhubeka nge-negative 4 is equals to 0. Then x minus 3 over 2 squared minus 9 over 4. 9 over 4 iphuma ku 3 over 4, 3 over 2 squared. Then sathi minus 4 is equals to 0. Then sathi x minus 3 over 2 squared is equals to 9 over 4 plus 4. Ngithatha ama-like terms lawa ngayisa to the other side. Bese 9 over 4 plus 4 is 25 over 4. Now I want to get rid of this square. Like lama brackets lawa, I'm gonna do a square root. So I'm gonna square root both sides. Then I'm getting rid of this brackets. It is over x minus 3 over 2 is equals to 5 over 2. Square root of 25 over 4, it is 5 over 2. Then I'm gonna say x it is equals to 3 over 2 plus or minus 5 over 2. Then I'm gonna say x is equals to 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2 is equals to 4. Or x equals to 3 over 2 minus 5 over 2 is equals to -1. I hope you understood. Please continue subscribing and share my videos to others. Thank you very much. And note that if you have an equation like this, the coefficient of x must be 1. It must be always start with x squared, not something x squared, you know. Thank you.